And here's why I asked that question. If you don't know, the old movie released and it wasn't well received. It didn't make a lot of money. It didn't break even, and the critics loved it, but the fans hated it. It left a lot to be desired. And despite that, people have been going wild once they heard that there was a unreleased cut. I had to research this part and I really looked it up. And basically, because there was like different versions of the previous DC movies of Batman v Superman and stuff like that, people heard of one of the being a different version of Justice League, and they wanted to see if it was actually better. This got the fans in an uproar, and once they got in an uproar, they started petitioning and asking for and just spamming for them to release this cut. And lo and behold, they actually released a cut. Now, I haven't been alive on this planet for very long, but to my knowledge, I think this is like the first time such a huge movie has been re-released due to fan outlash. And this includes knowing that the previous Justice League, the first version, failed. It failed in all aspects. The critics hated it, the fans hated it, and it didn't make any money at the box office. So there was no reason to release it. Yet the fans got this movie to release. But the biggest problem with this movie is that it leads nowhere. There won't be a Justice League 2 or Justice League 3. And the reason being is because literally every character in the movie is either being remade or not have another movie come out. So the whole point of Justice League initially being released to combat Avengers in the box office with Marvel's big success in their movies is dead in the water now. Take, for example, the main characters in the movie: Batman, Superman, Aquaman, Wonder Woman, Flash, and I guess Cyborg. He seemed kind of pointless, but I guess Cyborg. I'm not going alphabetical order here, but Aquaman, he's fine. His movie was a success. The star is not having any problems with the cast or the directors, despite what his co-workers going through, his co-cast stars going through with Johnny Depp and everything. That's a whole different story. Aquaman is fine. His movie did fine, and he seems to be doing fine. Batman is being remade completely. If you haven't seen it, there's a trailer out, been released last year of Robert Pattinson as a new Batman, so they're definitely remaking him. The Batman from this movie is not returning in any way. It's a whole new, basically, franchise that's unrelated to the Justice League. So already, Batman is out. So when you look at the Zack Snyder Justice League, no matter what plot line Batman has, or whatever happens with him and the Joker or him and the Flash, is gonna go nowhere. This is the last time you will see this version of the Batman. And Cyborg will be next, but because I said I wasn't gonna do this in alphabetical order, we're gonna go to Superman, which is facing the same thing that Batman is facing. He's being remade. So despite the success of Henry Cavill and his portrayal of that version of Superman, and Henry Cavill being really loved by the fans for all he's doing and what he's done, he's not coming back to play Superman again. Not because of his choice. He's stated he wants to come back and play Superman, but Warner Bros. Wants to take Superman in a whole new direction. A direction which somehow means turning him to a black guy, and I don't know what that's about. It's obviously they're trying to score some points with the minority crowd by making one of the main characters black, which they had in Cyborg, but Cyborg is a whole nother story. They could have just brought in Green Lantern. There's like multiple black versions of Green Lantern, but they could have brought in Martian Manhunter, who's not even black. He's green, but he could shapeshift into a black guy. It could have been that, but for some reason they want a black Superman, so Superman is off the list. He's not going to be returning. This version of Superman is not going to be returning. So despite him being revived in the movie and all that, the plot line is going nowhere. It's dead in the water. And Superman is literally the person who started off this whole franchise and War of Avengers. Because as soon as Superman 1 was made, they just immediately jumped into trying to put the Justice League out because Avengers was doing so well. When the first Justice League was released, I don't believe they even had they didn't have an Aquaman. They didn't have any movies really. They just had Superman, which was the best thing of the franchise. Oh, Wonder Woman too. But like, speaking of Wonder Woman, let's get to that next. If you haven't heard or you haven't seen Wonder Woman, it didn't do so well. It's Wonder Woman 2. They say was the best movie in this DC franchise next to Aquaman, but somehow, some way, Wonder Woman 2 comes out. I believe it's Wonder Woman 1982, and it is horrible. If you don't believe me, just go to Rotten Tomatoes and look at the score of the previous Wonder Woman and the new one, and you can see why. The previous Wonder Woman has a 90% tomato meter. That's from the critics, the ones who are, I don't want to say it, but are paid to like give good reviews. If you haven't heard, there was a whole scandal with Rotten Tomatoes deleting reviews they didn't agree with, despite it being a site where people can say their opinion and do whatever they want. And then you look at Wonder Woman 1984. It's, and I say this is what I mean. You look at it, it says 59% tomato meter and a 74% audience score. Looking at that, you would think, oh, the audience still love it as much as the previous Wonder Woman. But check this out. You click on the audience score, the tomato meter, and you go to all audience, not verified audience, all audience. That score drops to 43%. Now you may be asking, what is a verified audience? Well, like I said before, people that Rotten Tomatoes would agree with. If you posted a review on there that they don't agree with, then they just take it down. Now, of course, it's all speculation, but from the scan they had and other stuff they do, there seems to be only logical conclusion. Now, if you go look at the previous Wonder Woman, the first Wonder Woman, there is no such thing as an all audience or verified audience. So it seems odd that previously in 2017, everybody had a say. Now, there's only a verified audience, and the score drops by nearly half. And I think that's all you tell about the movie. There's so much we can go into about that movie, but we're going to just let these scores speak for themselves and move on to the next person, which is Cyborg, which from some reason the actor Ray Fisher doesn't seem to want to keep his job. Ever since the Justice League release, Ray Fisher has been constantly in the media just attacking his directors, his basically his bosses. And I understand if you're having like a hard time with your bosses and stuff. I quit my job, so I know the feeling. But like he's the only one. All his coworkers are just like they're quiet, they're going about their day. But it seems that Ray Fisher just he's like after he's trying to lose his job, which he did. They already announced that the next Flash movie they're gonna make, he's not gonna be in it. He's no longer in a Justice League project. So once again, his whole plot line and story in the movie is probably going to a dead end. But we don't know if they're going to just replace Ray Fisher with a new actor and continuing that from. But so far, most of his other co-workers are getting remade movies or new actors and different plot lines. Only one reasonable left is Aquaman and Wonder Woman, who's going to come back. But after that failure of Wonder Woman 1984, that's not looking so well. But that also brings us to the final one, Flash. Now, surprisingly, Flash has been mentioned much because, like Cyborg, no one's really paying attention to Flash. And the actor has been very quiet about what he's been doing, how he feels about the thing. Not as loud as Ray Fisher, anyway. And the weirdest thing about it is there's been talks for remakes of Batman, the remake of Superman, but Flash has been like left out of sideboard. They're already making the Batman film. They in the talks for Superman, but the Flash is just no information at all, which is weird until you think about it. In the movie, fans didn't really like this version of Flash. They considered him cowardly, which he was. If you've seen the original movie, all he did the whole movie was run away. I think he did like one thing, which is push a sword. I'm not sure. The fans didn't like him. He ran. I don't know why the director told Flash to run like that, but definitely here or there. The worst part about it was that Superman completely erased his whole point of being in the character. At one point in the movie, when the heroes face off against a newly revived Superman, Superman fights them all, and easily wins. Like, this is no contest. He beats them all and shrinks. They can't handle him. He's like can easily kill him at any point. And even when Flash is going in his little speed zone, I forgot the name of it. Superman is able to keep up. He can't hit the Flash, but it's obvious Superman can go just as fast as the Flash. And to drive that point home, later in the movie, Flash is trying to save people from like the climax of the movie, and he saves two people. He runs his hardest to save two people by pushing a truck. He looks up and sees Superman carrying a building full of people. So it's like, what's the point of Flash being there? He's a pointless character, which again makes it even worse because he had the most point of being in the story. There was scenes of going back to the future or past with Batman, but that became pointless because they went nowhere with that character. We could have had a whole movie about Flashpoint and different versions of Batman, or different versions of Wonder Woman and Aquaman. It would have made everything more coherent, especially how they remaking different characters. It was like a different alternate universe that Flash mistakenly went to. But I haven't even seen the Zack Snyder cut of Justice League yet. So the new cut, the new movie, it could give Flash a whole point. It can set up an alternate universe where these new characters, the Black Superman, the Robert Pattinson Batman, and a different Cyborg come together in an alternate universe. It could, but I don't think so, because Warner Bros. Is spending more money to reshoot this cut and re-release it. So they would have to make more money to justify continuing the Justice League line, because Avengers is already really done with. They successful. They broke many records and many barriers. At this point, I don't think Justice League is going to catch up in the next 5 years, which I don't think we're going to get another Justice League movie for another 5 to 8 years, if that. The only thing that you really have left is Aquaman, because everything else has either failed or has no interest in. So we have to see how that happens. So I spent the last 12, 13 minutes saying that to ask this one simple question: does Zack Snyder's Justice League movie matter? And the honest answer is yes, it does. Not for the plot or it's going to get Avengers, because it's something that the fans requested. The fans put it out there that they wanted to see this movie, that they wanted to Warner Bros. To re-release this cut, and Warner Bros. Did. They listened. Hollywood listened. Despite them potentially losing more money on a movie, they re-released it. And anything that shows Hollywood listening to his fans, I think should be rewarded. You saw the same thing with Sonic. When Sonic trailers first come out, he was butt ugly and the fans had an uproar asking them to change it. And Hollywood listened and they changed Sonic. And because of that, people came out to see the movie. They said, oh, that directors actually listen, that companies actually listening. Let's go out, let's support this movie. And it was a good movie. So yeah, I think this new Justice League matters. I think people should see it and we should watch it. I just don't think you should expect anything after it, because the executives at DC just seem to be trying to make this movie fail at every single point.